conflict area. And so not only is my heart belonging to the Niger Delta belonging to me, there is nothing I can do about that because that is who I am. Now, coming to the traditional rulers, I grew up under the feet of tradition because I come from a walk-in house in the Kalabari Kingdom. It may not mean much today, walk-in houses, but those are the things that make our fathers who they were, and therefore make us who we are, and give us the strength and the capacity to fight for the things that we believe in, because these fathers of ours existed before oil was found. It existed before Nigeria was created. We definitely existed before the headsmen knew that people like us existed, and before we knew that people like them existed. So where we come from is whom we are. I respect traditional rulers a lot. As I said, I grew up under the feet of tradition. And I really must add my voice to the fact that I am aware, I experienced when the role of traditional rulers were taken away from them, because it was taken away from them during the war and after the war. That was when the role of traditional rulers were taken away. And so they were disempowered. Traditional rulers became disempowered. I don't remember when I was growing up that traditional rulers were poor. They were not poor, because the traditional rulers were created and chiefs were created based on certain criteria. Now, because their role of their traditions in their places where they have honor is taken away from them. And it was taken away so that we could find ourselves, we can find ourselves where we are today, because our traditional rulers were powerful in the sense that before a case within the community would leave the community, even leave the compound, and leave the community to go to a traditional court, before it will even go to a normal court, the issues would have been resolved. So those powers have been taken away from them. And that's why this synergy is missing between the community and the traditional rulers. We have to replace this. And the way to replace this, in my humble opinion, because where I come from, women don't have a say in traditional activities in the sense of ruling, because they don't even give women chieftaincy title in Kalabari Kingdom. In other places, in other Ijaw communities and clans, they actually do give. But in Kalabari Kingdom, women are not given chieftaincy title. So we really don't have a role to play within the role of rulership and authority in traditional rulership. But we do acknowledge and do respect, and I want to suggest very seriously that the traditional rulers, irrespective of how their traditions are, should make it a point of their right and the people that they rule over, for this right to be given back to traditional rulers. So when I hear that we expect the government to give these rights back, the government will not give these rights back. Traditional rulers and the people who need the traditional rulers will have to ask for that. So we have to find a way around how we're going to do this. Now, if there's poverty, so our traditional rulers are impoverished. Now, when I was growing up, the traditional rulers were rich. Some of them were merchants. My grandfather was a merchant, a very rich one at that. He built a school and gave it to the community in the 30s. And so our people are not poor people. But we find ourselves in a country where the Niger Delta people are purposely disempowered and impoverished. And our politicians have not been able to do anything about that, and we the people have not been able to do anything about that. So we have to find a way to correct these things. That responsibility is ours. The issue of security, there is a disconnect between the security. The first point of security in the community is the police. Again, I refer to when I was growing up, because I grew up in the community. So I refer to when I was growing up. In the community, when I was a little girl, you knew the police, the head of the police at that time, whether it's DPO in the 50s and in the 60s. And he very generally came from the area. But now you have strangers that don't know our culture, don't speak our languages, don't understand us, that come to impose laws in the community. So there is a clash between the community and between the police. It shouldn't be. The police is the friend of the community. I do not see that the police really are disempowered, because it is the government that is imposing the military on the police. So that is a level of disempowerment on the police. Now, the police is disempowered, the people are disempowered, the police is taking out their frustration on the people are taking out their frustration on the police. This is where civil society comes in. And what my big sister Judith is doing with this is coming in, because these are the stories that should come out. Something must be done, and we have to be part of that thing that will be done, so that our relationship between us and the police will improve, because we're not the enemy of the police. The enemy, the police should not be the enemy of the people. That everybody wants to stay alive. So when you see that the policeman is not doing his duty anymore because he's frustrated, so he takes out his frustration on you, you also now are going to be defensive. We have to come in there and resolve this problem. Now, when we go to the issue of government officials, our governors, our representatives, whatever it is, they have failed us, and they have failed us woefully. If you look at even the PIB bill, the PIB bill originally started as something for the oil-producing communities. That was the whole role of the PIB. When we started discussing the amnesty program, my brothers are here to my right. When we started discussing the amnesty program, Judith is aware of it as well. When there were I don't want to call the names of my sons, they're sitting quietly, let them be where they are. Let them be where they are. But the point is that when we were discussing these things, what stuck in my head at one particular time was what Yaradua said. And he said, look, if I were you, I would behave the way you're behaving. Give me an opportunity. Lay down your arms. And then we will have the time to bring rapid development to the Niger Delta. That's what he said, rapid development. Unfortunately, he died. We will never know what could have happened if he didn't die. That's the issue. But what we have today is that the NDDC was created from the agitation that we had by Obasanjo, and then we had the amnesty program, and then we had the Ministry of Niger Delta, and the amnesty. And yet today, these places have become conduit pipes for strangers and our own people from the Niger Delta. Now, this has to stop. We have to take responsibility. We have to stop the strangers, and we have to stop our people. But we cannot allow a situation where one group of Niger Delta people are against a Niger Delta person, the other group is for the same Niger Delta person. We are killing ourselves, we're doing ourselves, and the stranger is folding his hands and watching what is going on. So, on the issue of security, the fact that there is security in the Niger Delta is simply because the Niger Delta people have chosen that there will be security in the Niger Delta. If a group tonight decides there will be security in the Niger Delta, by the time Nigeria wakes up, they will know that people have made a decision that there will be no security in the Niger Delta. So, as I round up, because I'm going to round up, it is the responsibility of the traditional rulers, of the people they rule, of the politicians, to take responsibility for our future and do the right thing. What is the right thing? The right thing is that we cannot continue to sit down and watch people loot the Niger Delta the way it is being looted. Traditional rulers seated here don't even have a cup of oil that they give to them every month. But yet there are traditional rulers in other places that have oil wells allocated to them. There are women in other places. I'm a woman, a daughter, a servant of the Niger Delta region. I'm a stakeholder. I don't own a spoonful of oil. It is unfair, it is unacceptable, and as long as this injustice remains, when you call this type of gathering, you will hear my brother vibrate the way he did, because everything has to come out. And it looks disjointed, but it is not disjointed. It is just pain, and it just comes out in different ways. It is unacceptable. We will continue to resist it, and one day, I know, in my lifetime, we will succeed, and justice will be delivered to us.
For the other guys, I try to go. Personal,